Have you ever felt like your anger was getting the best of you? Like it was taking the wheel and you were just along for the ride? Well, you're not alone, and it turns out there's a lot more to anger than meets the eye. In today's video, we'll be discussing all things anger, from its root causes to its surprising benefits, and most importantly, how to channel it in a healthy way. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of yourself and how to navigate those tricky situations that tend to bring up those angry feelings. So grab a snack and get ready. Let's dive in. Okay, so before we can talk about how to manage our anger, we need to understand what anger actually is. You know, it's not just a bad feeling. It's a complex emotion that involves our thoughts, behaviors, and even hormones. Anger is often seen as a negative emotion, but it can actually be beneficial for us in small doses. For example, when we're angry, our bodies release chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol, which can help us focus and problem solve. But too much of these chemicals over time can be harmful to both our mental and physical health. So here's a quick breakdown of what happens when we get angry. First, our brain's amygdala hijacks, which means it triggers a fight or flight response. This shuts down the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and rational thinking. Our heart rate and blood pressure go up, and we start breathing faster. Then the hormones adrenaline and cortisol are released, preparing our body for action. Finally, we start to feel angry and may lash out verbally or physically. It's important to remember that anger isn't always bad. In fact, it can be a useful emotion that helps us stand up for ourselves and protect those we care about. But it's how we express and manage our anger that really matters. Anger can manifest itself in different ways, from keeping it bottled up inside to letting it all out in a heated argument. But did you know that there are actually 3 main types of anger? Passive anger, aggressive anger, and assertive anger. Let's start with passive anger. This is when you feel angry, but you don't express it right away. Instead, you might keep it bottled up inside and let it fester. Think of it like a pot of water that's been left on the stove on low heat. It might seem calm on the surface, but just below the water is boiling. Some common signs of passive anger include withdrawing socially, becoming quiet, and shutting down or procrastinating on tasks. While this might seem like a harmless way to deal with anger in the moment, it can lead to some serious consequences down the road. Bottling up your emotions can take a toll on your mental health, leading to stress, anxiety, or even depression. It can also affect your physical health by raising your blood pressure and weakening your immune system. Next, we have aggressive anger. This is when you let your anger get the best of you and you lash out physically or verbally. Imagine a pressure cooker that's been turned up to high. There's so much pressure building up that when it reaches a boiling point, it explodes. People who express their anger aggressively might argue or fight a lot. They might also use physical force or intimidation to get their way. While it might feel good in the moment to let loose and express your anger openly, this approach can have negative consequences. It can damage your relationships, make people afraid to talk to you, and even land you in trouble, legally or professionally. Finally, we have assertive anger. This is when you express your anger in a healthy and constructive way. Picture a pot of water that's been brought to a gentle boil. The heat is on, but it's at a level that allows for controlled and productive conversation. People who express their anger assertively can clearly communicate their needs and boundaries, while still being respectful towards others. They're able to take responsibility for their own actions and apologize when they're wrong. Let's look at some short real-life examples of each type of anger. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Passive. You let it go and don't say anything. Aggressive. You yell and make rude gestures at them. Assertive. You stay calm, let them go, and continue on your way without letting it bother you. Your boss gives you a project with a tight deadline. Passive. You agree but then procrastinate on starting it. Aggressive. You argue with your boss about the deadline and accuse them of trying to set you up for failure. Assertive. You ask your boss for clarification and work to complete the project successfully. A friend cancels plans last minute. Passive. You get upset, but don't talk to them about it. Aggressive. You blow up at them for being inconsiderate and end the friendship. Assertive. You express how their actions made you feel and work towards a compromise. As you can see, anger is a normal and even sometimes necessary emotion. But how we handle it makes all the difference. Now that we understand the different types of anger, let's talk about what happens when we keep our anger suppressed or mismanage it. First, let's look at the effects of suppressed anger. When you bottle up your anger instead of expressing it, it can take a toll on your mental and physical health. Studies have shown that keeping your emotions in check, including anger, can lead to an increased risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, and other physical ailments. That's because when you're suppressing your anger, your body is constantly in a state of stress, which releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline that can wreak havoc on your cardiovascular system. But it's not just your body that suffers when you suppress your anger. Your mental health can take a hit as well. Studies have linked suppressed anger to increased levels of stress, anxiety, and even depression. When you're suppressing your emotions, you're essentially blocking them from being expressed, which can cause them to manifest in other ways. For example, you might start to experience panic attacks or find yourself constantly worrying about everything. Now let's talk about the effects of mismanaged anger. When you let your anger get the better of you and you lash out physically or emotionally, it can have just as many negative consequences. Studies have found that people who have difficulty controlling their anger are at a higher risk of developing mental health problems, such as substance abuse, antisocial personality disorder, and even schizophrenia. But the negative effects of mismanaged anger don't stop there. It can also strain your relationships and make it difficult to connect with others. When you're angry, it's easy to say things without thinking or lash out in ways that can hurt others. And while it might feel good in the moment to let loose and express your anger, it can damage your relationships and make it harder to communicate effectively with others in the future. We've covered the science of anger, the different types, and the potential consequences of suppressing or mismanaging it. Now it's time to learn how to take back control before anger controls us. So without further ado, let's continue our discussion on anger with 5 things you need to know about managing it. Number 1, a quick recap. So just to jog your memory and set the stage for those who are joining us for the first time, let's quickly recap some of the key points from the previous video. When you're angry, it means that something or someone has triggered your amygdala, which is the part of your brain responsible for processing emotions like fear and anger. This sets off a cascade of reactions in your body and mind, including increased heart rate, muscle tension, and the release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These physiological responses were once helpful for survival, but can become problematic when you're constantly bombarded with stresses in modern life. Suppressing or denying your anger doesn't make it go away. It festers beneath the surface, potentially leading to physical health issues, mental health problems like anxiety and depression, and strained relationships. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's move on to the good stuff. How do you manage your anger? We'll start with some anger management techniques that you can use in the heat of the moment to diffuse the situation, followed by long-term strategies for better managing your anger. Number 2, short-term anger management techniques. Think of these as your firefighting tools for when the flames of anger start to rise. Here are some things you can try. First, breathing exercises. Controlled breathing is a simple yet powerful tool to calm down when you're feeling overwhelmed with anger. One effective technique is the 4-7-8 technique, popularized by Dr. Andrew Huberman. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. You can also try box breathing, a technique used by Navy SEALs. This involves breathing in for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and holding your breath again for 4 seconds. Box breathing is excellent for grounding yourself in the present moment and reducing feelings of panic or anxiety that often accompany anger. Next, the pause and label method. This technique is based on the idea that naming or labeling an emotion can help to reduce its intensity. Developed by psychologists, this method encourages you to take a step back and identify the emotion you're experiencing. So if you're getting angry, say to yourself, "I am angry." This simple act of putting a label on your anger can help you gain a sense of control over the emotion, rather than letting it control you. Finally, grounding techniques. Grounding techniques are a great way to bring your attention to the present moment. Instead of ruminating on past events or worrying about future outcomes, you can do this by focusing on your senses. Notice the things you can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. This can help you break the cycle of negative thoughts that may be fueling your anger. For example, during traffic, instead of fuming over the driver who cut you off, take a few deep breaths. Focus on the steering wheel in your hands and remind yourself to stay present. Let's look at an example scenario to see how you can apply these techniques. Let's say you're driving home from work and you hit some traffic. Then someone cuts you off, causing you to slam on your brakes. Your heart starts racing, your fists clench, and you feel that anger rising within you. In that moment, you can employ some of the techniques we've discussed. First, practice a calming breath, like the 4-7-8 technique. Then try to label your emotion. "I am angry." Finally, ground yourself by noticing the surroundings. I see the road. I hear the cars. I feel the seat beneath me. By doing so, you've taken the first steps towards managing your anger effectively. Number 3, long-term strategies. While the short-term techniques are great for diffusing anger in the heat of the moment, long-term strategies are essential for creating lasting change. Think of it like this. The short-term techniques are your fire extinguisher, but you don't want to rely solely on them. You also need a smoke alarm and a sprinkler system, which are your long-term strategies. First, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT for short. CBT is a form of talk therapy that focuses on the connection between thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. It's particularly useful for anger management because it helps you identify and modify any negative thought patterns or beliefs that may be contributing to your anger issues. For example, if you have a tendency to blame others for your problems, CBT can help you challenge that belief and develop more balanced and adaptive thoughts. Second, journaling your triggers. Keeping a journal of your anger, including what happened, how you felt, and how you reacted, can be an extremely valuable tool. It allows you to track patterns, identify triggers, and see how your anger manifests itself. This self-awareness is crucial for managing your anger effectively. Third, developing your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is all about understanding and managing your emotions. It's a skill that can be developed through practice. As you become more emotionally intelligent, you'll become better at recognizing your emotions, understanding their impact on your behavior, and managing them in a healthy way. This might involve taking courses, reading books, or attending workshops on emotional intelligence. And remember, lifestyle factors play a big role here too. Exercise regularly, get enough sleep, and practice mindfulness. They all contribute to your emotional well-being and can significantly improve your ability to manage your anger. Number 4, healthy expression of anger. Now that you have the tools to manage and control your anger, it's essential to know how to express it in a healthy way. Remember, anger isn't inherently bad. It's how you express it that matters. Assertive communication is key. Assertiveness is about clearly and confidently communicating your needs and opinions while respecting the rights of others. It's different from passive communication, where you suppress your anger or allow others to walk over you. And it's also distinct from aggressive communication, where you express your anger by attacking or humiliating others. Aim for assertive, not aggressive. When expressing your anger, focus on the issue at hand and avoid blaming or attacking the other person. Use I statements to convey your feelings and needs. For example, instead of saying, "You always make me late," try, "I feel frustrated when I'm late." This way you express your anger without causing unnecessary offense or escalation. Number 5, closing thoughts. We've come to the end of our discussion on anger. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. Anger doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be your teacher. The moment you learn to master it, you turn one of the most destructive emotions into a tool for growth. You learn to use it to fuel positive change in your life, to stand up for your rights, and to connect with others in a deeper way. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Doing so not only helps us reach more people with our mental health content, but also keeps you updated on our latest videos. Thank you for watching. Until next time.